is a tank destroyer developed by Nazi Germany during World War II. It had high firepower, protection, and mobility, and was also more reliable compared to other German heavy tank destroyers, making it a well-balanced armored combat vehicle overall. This vehicle utilizes the chassis of the Panther tank, extending the front and upper side armor upwards to construct a combat compartment, where it is mounted with a PaK 43 388mm gun of larger caliber than that of the Panther. This is the same caliber as the Tiger Eye's main gun, the KWK-36, but with a barrel length of 71 calibers, giving it greater penetration power. The engine and running gear are almost identical to those of the Panther. As a precursor to the need for such tank destroyers, the German Wehrmacht had expressed dissatisfaction with the mobility of towed anti-tank guns and demanded practical self-propelled gun-type combat vehicles. On August 3, 1942, the Army Ordnance Office proposed to combine the hull of a new Panther tank with a new 8.8 cm anti-tank gun. Mass production at this time was scheduled for July 1943. Krupp was asked to develop the gun, but the company was working on mounting an 88mm gun on the hull of the Panzer IV, and it was impossible to create a blueprint by January. In October, the development work was transferred to Daimler-Benz, with the goal of manufacturing the vehicle in the summer of 1943. Krupp assisted in the design and development of the gun and gun mount. The Daimler-Benz design was based on the body of the Panther II, and the technical details were finalized in January 1943. However, in May 1943, plans to build the Panther II were cancelled, and the 8.8 cm heavy assault gun was built using the body of the Panther I. Changes to the improvements were made quickly. On May 24, 1943, production was taken over by MIAG from Daimler-Benz. The improvements to be made in the design of the Panther II were carried over to the body of the Panther, and the improved production body was built at the factory in September. In June 1943, Daimler-Benz completed a mock-up of the Panther medium tank destroyer with a 71 caliber 8.8 cm gun, which MIAG used as a reference. The prototype was completed by MIAG in October 1943, and the second prototype was completed in November. At the beginning of mass production, about 5 to 10 units were produced each month. A major cause of manufacturing delays was the strengthening of gearboxes, steering gearboxes, and drive systems. Additionally, the lack of labor at MIAG and air raids were also causes of the delays. In November 1944, MNH, Niedersachsen-Hanover Machine Manufacturing Company, and MBA, Maschinenbau und Warmbedarfs GmbH, joined the production efforts, improving the situation. However, the highest production number was 72 units in January 1945, and thereafter production continued at a pace of several tens of units, which could not compete with the vehicle production numbers of the Allies. From January 1944 to April 1945, a total of 415 units were produced by MIAG, NMH, and MBA, resulting in a relatively small number. This vehicle is a tank destroyer and does not have a turret. The engine compartment is located at the rear of the vehicle. The combat chamber, which excels in deflecting projectiles, is in the center of the vehicle, and the transmission, steering transmission, and 88mm main gun are located at the front. Power is transmitted from a gasoline engine located in the rear engine compartment through a driveshaft under the floor to the transmission at the front, where it is reduced in speed and then distributed to the left and right drive wheels via the steering transmission. The crew consists of 5 members. The driver sits on the left side when viewed from the front, with the front machine gunner and radio operator sitting on the right side, separated by the transmission. In the central part of the combat chamber, to the left of the main gun when viewed from the rear, is the gunner who operates the gun. Additionally, a loader and the commander are also on board. There are 3 hatches for entry. They are located above the commander, to the left of the loader, and at the rear of the combat chamber. The main gun was mounted on the front armor plate through the armor collar, which was equipped with a shield. There are early and late versions of this armor collar. The early version of the armor collar was riveted to the armor plate inside the fighting compartment, and it required work in the narrow interior of the vehicle to remove it. The late version of the armor collar was changed to be joined from the outside with 4 bolts on the top and bottom. This modification widened the opening of the front armor plate when the collar was removed, making it easier to replace the transmission and steering gearbox. The gun barrel of the main gun could be removed through a hatch at the rear of the fighting compartment, allowing the transmission and steering gearbox to be taken out through the opening by removing the shield and armor collar. Compared to the early version, the late version allowed for easier replacement operations, providing an advantage in maintenance. The main gun is equipped with a periscope-type sighting device, the SFL.ZF1 model, which protrudes from the ceiling for visibility. Because the sight moves left and right in conjunction with the main gun, holes were made in the ceiling to accommodate this moving part. Rails were installed along this opening, onto which a sliding armor plate is attached. For the commander, in addition to a crab-eye-type gunner's sight, there is also a periscope provided. The ceiling has a ventilator to ventilate gun smoke. The Jagdpanther does not have a commander's cupola like the 3 assault gun. Instead, it is equipped with a rotating periscope and a side-mounted fixed periscope. Throughout production, improvements continued to be made to the Jagdpanther, leading to conformation of 12 different shapes, such as in the periscope section at the front of the driver's seat. The layout of the engine compartment's upper surface was initially based on the Panther M model, but was changed halfway through to resemble the G model, resulting in differences in the angles of the rear slant of the fighting compartment due to variations in length. The former is classified as the Jagdpanther G1 model, while the latter is the Jagdpanther G2 model. The concept of a tank destroyer with a powerful main gun combined with a low fixed-position combat chamber has been passed down to post-war West Germany's KJPZ.4-5 cannon and the Soviet Union's Su-122-54, among others. It is desirable to fulfill the constants and operate concentratedly when introducing new weapons, but the Jagdpanther was continuously sent to the battlefield while ignoring such principles. At the time the Jagdpanther was deployed, the German army was facing deteriorating conditions day by day, and it was not uncommon for units replenished with brand new weapons to be immediately deployed. Moreover, there was no time for familiarization with the weapons or training, and it was impossible to organize large units for exercises. In 1944, the Jagdpanther was first deployed to the 654th Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion. This battalion had previously been fighting on the Eastern Front equipped with Ferdinand heavy tank destroyers and was sent back for reinforcement of its combat power. Next, the 559th Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion and the 519th Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion modified their equipment. The 560th Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion and the 655th Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion followed, but they did not meet the required numbers, and the reinforcements were slow to arrive. The 654th Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion was deployed to the Western Front, and in a report dated July 30, 1944, it was indicated that the battalion was assigned to the LXXIV Panzer Corps. 3 Jagdpanther tanks intercepted a Churchill tank company from the British 6th Guards Tank Brigade. After 2 minutes of engagement, 2 more Churchill tank companies arrived as reinforcements, and the Jagdpanther withdrew behind a hill after sustaining hits. In this battle, 2 Jagdpanther tanks were hit in the tracks and abandoned. The Churchill tanks suffered 11 losses in this brief engagement. Following this, the depleted battalion was ordered to be sent to the Grafenwehr training area for replenishment on September 9, 1944. On November 18, 1944, the 654th Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion was transported by rail from the Grafenwehr training ground back to the Western Front. During consecutive operations from November 20 to 30, 18 Jagdpanthers were lost. The results were the destruction of 52 enemy tanks, 9 damaged tanks, and 10 anti-tank guns. The 563rd Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion was formed at Allenstein on January 20, 1945, and was deployed on the 21st. The battalion was equipped with 18 Jagdpanthers and 24 Panzer IV tank destroyers, and in the following 10 days of combat, it destroyed 58 enemy tanks. The Jagdpanther suffered the loss of 13 units. The breakdown of these losses includes 8 units abandoned due to lack of fuel, 1 unit abandoned due to being immobilized, and 3 units abandoned after prolonged repairs, with only 1 unit being destroyed by the enemy.